get a brief opening statement from Coach, and then we'll take questions.
Excited to be in the bad boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. This is a great situation for us, home state. New York Yankees, they always do everything first class. Obviously, you can tell by the attire that we're a little fired up about this, and we can't wait to get out there and show people what we're going to do in New York. So I'd like to open up for questions right now.
Start with Dan right here, and then go to Emily.
Just getting to a bowl game this season in general, all the work that you put forward and to advance to the postseason, just what it means for the program, recruiting, extra practices, and everything that comes with it.
First of all, I go back to the players. The players put so much time starting really 365 days, and for them to have an opportunity to play a 13th bowl game for them, I think is really cool. I love the playoff situation and everything that's going on, and whether it's 4 teams or 12 teams, I get it. But I'm one of those old soul guys that still believe in the bowl system, and that way everybody gets an opportunity to be 0-1 or 1-0 in the bowl season. Season ended at 7-5, but now this gives us an opportunity to win the bowl and be 1-0. So I'm excited for the young people. I'm excited for the program. Yes, it gives us extra practices. Yes, it gives us an opportunity maybe to bring young recruits in and practice with our football team based off of the rules and when they graduate from high school. There's a lot of advantages to this that carries over into the 2023 season, but I'm excited for what the young men did in 2022, and I'm proud, and I'm glad they get an opportunity to play one more time.
What are your initial thoughts on Minnesota as your guys' opponent?
Big Ten opponent, obviously something that, anytime you're playing the Big Ten, you're playing some real football. Those guys are big and physical, and we plan on trying to be as big as physical as we can be against them. I think it's a good opponent.
Tommy, then Brett.
Coach, you have some connections over there. Kramer Cook, who was with you, is now with Minnesota. Mark Coyle, of course, the former AD here. What do you think of just the connections between the two schools?
I think it's really cool that we don't have to learn some new names, that we can actually run up on somebody and go, hey, I know what that guy's name is. So that'll be fun. It's a little family atmosphere, a little kumbaya meetings, and when we get together and we have the mixers and all that stuff in the bowl game. But the real thing is the game's played between the lines. The lines are played between players, and that's what all games come down to.
Right.
Coach, today the portal is open. Jim Boeheim had an interesting comment last week that he didn't feel like he could be as aggressive in the portal because of the money that's out there. Do you feel like you can be competitive in the portal if it comes to that?
I don't know what all that money stuff means. I know that the transfer portal is here it's a new era. It's here for the young men so they can have options and have decisions on their careers, and those guys will make that stuff. So hopefully I get to hear it before some other people get to hear it, if that's going to happen. But that's just the era that we're in now, and we just got to live that way.
Coach, did you guys as a coaching staff take time last week to kind of reflect back on the season, and if so, what were your biggest takeaways?
No, we didn't have time for that. We went straight into recruiting. They are doing, when we get ready for the bowl game, we do have to reflect and see what the other team is watching for the 12 games to see what we want to put out there on the table, so to speak. So that will happen, but right now we jumped right into a recruiting weekend, and we're dealing with I had to sit down with everybody on our football team to talk about their futures and stuff like that, and now we have to get into recruiting and all that other kind of stuff. So it will happen, but it hasn't happened totally yet, to answer your question.
Coach, have you had any conversations yet with players that are planning on opting out for the year?
I've had conversations with all the players. I can't tell you who's going to do it or who's not going to do it, because some of those times they're still thinking about things, and they've got to talk to their people, and everybody's got agents and all that kind of stuff now. So I've got to wait and see till all those conversations are over.
Dan and then Emily.
Going off of that transfer portal, recruiting, planning a bowl game, there's a lot of things that have gone on in the world of collegiate athletics, but with the transfer portal as a part of this, it makes things more unique. And how do you balance as a coach trying to recruit your players that you have, your players that you're trying to bring in, as well as playing a bowl game?
It is so different than when we started, and the difference. It's harder, but the hard is what makes it really cool. You're almost a head coach, a general manager, a psychiatrist. You've got all these hats that you're wearing, and it's all coming together. at the exact same time. So it's not boring, and it doesn't make you old. It keeps you young. So I'm enjoying it, but it can be very taskful when it all comes together, and it's starting to come together right now.
Emily?
There's a couple players that people are very wondering about where they're going to be next season, particularly Garrett Schrader is one of them. I'm just curious what your conversations with him have been about whether he's going to be back for 2023.
Conversations have gone really well with Garrett.
Has he indicated either way, what way he's leaning?
He's said some things to me. I'm sure that you guys are going to have an opportunity most likely to talk to him and share, but right now I feel really good about it.
Coach, getting a chance to play in New York City where there is a huge Syracuse alumni base, do you feel that's a little bit of home field advantage, even in a bowl game, it's going to give you guys an advantage on the field? I don't know if that'll carry. I know that Minnesota has a strong base. I know they're going to travel out to that bowl game as well. For them it'll be a warm weather game, so it's like they're going to a warm weather site. But I'm sure it's going to be balanced in that stadium. That's what normally happens. I know our people have less drive, or I don't know how to say that. They don't have to drive so far to get there, but Minnesota will show up. Okay, they'll show up at the game.
Brent?
Coach, have you had any conversations with assistant coaches similar to what Emily was saying about Garrett? Everybody lined up, ready to go as of now, same staff? Nobody's taking any other jobs or anything like that?
As far as I know, everybody's working for Syracuse right now, either breaking down Minnesota or recruiting for this university.
Has anybody indicated they're not going to play in the bowl game at this point?
I have not had anything that's solidified that way. We've had talks, and then we got to see how those talks go.
Yeah, just with the timing of the bowl game, you guys get time to heal, time to recruit. Is there anything else that you expect to prepare, or something that these next few weeks will help out more with?
I think the biggest thing is what you mentioned, is that we may get time to heal where we may get some guys back that we had lost during the season. Now, most of the injuries, as crazy as this sounds, that we had during the season they're like 9-month injuries, 1-year injuries. So a lot of those guys we don't, but some of those other guys we may get back. And more importantly, and it's probably the same thing for Minnesota as well, the football team will get healthier. So even the guys that have been playing 12 games and they're all banged up or playing 80%, 75%, 90%, those guys will get back to feeling as good as they've felt probably in the last 2 months. So this should be a fun contest.
So you expect some of those defensive starters that were out early in the season to be back, or you said just those injuries?
We got to wait and see. We might have a chance.
Dino, finishing third in the Atlantic Division of the ACC and having 6 of those 7 teams in the Atlantic advance to bowl games, just what it says about the conference and what it says about Syracuse to finish in the top 3 on that side.
I'm really proud of that. We felt that based off all the things that happened and where the expectations were in the beginning, I'm proud of the finish. Could we have done better? If we stayed healthier, who knows? But that wasn't in the cards. We were dealt the cards that we had with the injuries that we had, and to make this finish and to finish where we were based off of what went in the conference, especially in the Atlantic, and what those teams did, wow. I think it's something we should be proud of.
Going back to the health aspect of things, you have a bowl like the Fenway Bowl, right, that's being played on December 17th. You will be playing on December 29th. Do you think that 12-day stretch will ultimately make a difference in kind of having that extra time?
Yeah, I do. Anytime you give football players rest, okay, it's going to make you better. That's what a bye week does and some of the other things. So now it's very unique because we have finals and stuff, and we have very strict rules here that we're not going to practice, during finals when those kids have those things. That's a university rule. But when they don't have finals, we can put them on the practice field, and then when school ends, we get to utilize our practices the way we see fit and bring these guys back. It'll be a little bit of a baby type spring. We'll use time to build the underbelly. You've heard me say it before. We'll also put as much time as needed to put our best foot forward against the University of Minnesota, because they're a good football team. But we're going to try to get 2 things done for sure.
Brent and Dan?
Coach, last time we were here, continuing the theme about depth here, you mentioned that after the year you're going to take a look at that whole process, right? Have you had time to look at that, and you know, what do you think?
Not with recruiting going on, but as soon as we get done with recruiting and we get done with the bowl game, we'll go into detail.
On that note, with the practices, are you going to get 15 in with the, you know, finals and everything going on?
We might get more.
Yeah.
You know, Sean Tucker, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. First time it's been done in Syracuse since 2009-10 with DeLon Carter, I believe. And in the top 3 all-time in career rushing yards. He was, I think, 4th string on the depth chart going into the COVID year. So just what you could say about the come-up of Sean Tucker.
You know, what a story. And it's amazing how, you know, things happen. You know, things happen, and they happen for a reason. You think about all those tailbacks opting out that year because of COVID and moving him up the depth chart. And then I want to say he was still 2nd. I'm not behind a young man. And then that young man got hurt. And then because of all that other stuff happening, here comes Sean Tucker. And from the start of that to where he is now and the run that he's made and the things that he's done for Syracuse University is absolutely amazing. And lucky to be a part of it. You know, this is going to sound really weird, but I got to tell you this story. So it was last week before the Boston College game. Me and Coach White, I said, Coach White, come on, I want to do something to Sean Tucker. Now, you just can't go in the locker room and grab a guy, okay? So you got to bring a friend if you're going to do it. So I got Coach White to go behind him. I kind of got his attention, and Coach White grabbed him, and then I went in after Sean, and then all the guys are going, oh, we're not going to do anything to hurt him. But, you know, one of those guy things in the locker room. But that's not the story. This is the story. I really hadn't seen Sean in his not boxer shorts, but in his shorts. I really hadn't seen him since his freshman year, you know, totally with his shirt and everything off. You know, he's always dressed correctly. He's not one of those guys going to be taking off his shirt and all that kind of stuff. That guy's got muscles everywhere. It was like if you had a before and after shot of what he looked like during COVID. I mean, it's a real deal. And what he looks like right now, and this was at the end of the season. I mean, he is cut up. I mean, he is WWF ready. And you know, whether his last game is with us or he's already played his last game, he is going to have a fantastic NFL career. He is really focused on what he wants to do. So just a little share story with him. But yeah, he's really cut up and he's really fast.
Take a couple more for Coach before we get to questions. We'll start, or Coach, players, excuse me. We'll start here.
Coach, yeah, what do you remember from that last bowl game, blowout win over West Virginia? A few players on the team now that were on that team.
What I remember is 2 guys scoring touchdowns that didn't play the entire season. Abdul Adams, because you can have red shirts and you can have transfers play in that game. So I remember that Abdul Adams scored as a running back and he didn't play the entire season, and Tristan Jackson scored as a wide receiver, far side, away from our locker room, West Virginia side, on a back shoulder fade throw. And those are the things that can happen in bowl games like this. When you're allowed to play these guys, you can bring in some of your recruits and see if they can get an opportunity to play. And to have those young guys out there doing things for the next season is really the key. And I think that when you go after that bowl game, I think the season that Tristan had the next year and Abdul had were both really, really good seasons that got started in that bowl contest.
So you see it as a little bit of a preseason for the next season?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Last question for Coach, if anybody's got it. Everybody good? All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take a quick pause here, and I'll grab the players and we'll get in a second.